right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rice and Beans podcast. We are going to be starting where we left off. I'm your host, Andrew.
Yeah, and I'm Mason. A while ago we were in I mean, it probably wasn't a while ago.
It was just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we graduated in 2022. Had to think about that for a second. And while we were in high school, we were a part of a media, radio, and broadcasting kind of film.
Right.
What'd you say?
Yeah, pretty much. It was a mixture of different things, but it mainly had to stem from the use of audio, video, and I would say we also learned basically how to do a lot of newsworthy things as well. When I say newsworthy, I mean we basically learned how like a news station kind of worked, like how to run teleprompters, how to run the monitors, how to make sure that our audio is doing good, how to run things on 3 separate channels, and how to get like a basic use of Premiere Pro and all that.
Yeah, and I would say that also really helped us like right now doing what we're doing. I mean, right now we're just starting up. We're really not doing much right now, I would say, other than just sitting down and recording. But that did give us skills to actually sit down and record this stuff. What would you say?
Well, I would say that it's definitely helped us out a lot more. For instance, we're able to upgrade our set. Before we were thinking about just doing this, regular phone kind of microphone type deal, and we would just take turns. But now we have an actual audio board switch set, 2 microphones, headphones, and like I said, we're getting a better idea of how Premiere works. We can work with the audio, make sure that sounds better. It's more cut and clean. And, because we're able to do that at the same time from our classes, we've learned how to speak better and how to actually run a show instead of it just being random rambling. Well,
yeah, kind of speak for yourself, though, because I feel like I'm kind of rambling, though.
I'm rambling, too, but there's at least a structure. Like, I'm not talking about, I'm not going off the wall. Staying on a general topic, it could diverge a little bit, but as long as we're on the main point, that's really what matters. That's what we learned about having a show.
Yeah.
Was, not to just, you can goof around and all that, but still, you got to remember the main points of what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah, and again, I mean, we're just getting started, and it's going to take some time to settle into what we're actually doing here. Right now, I just kind of want to build the character. So, Andrew, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, okay, yes. So, basically, my name is Andrew, and give you a brief rundown. I'm just a guy that is getting back into audio. Like, for instance, when we started that CTE program, it's a career and technical education. That's what it stands for. And it's not just audio and video. They had a lot of other things like construction and all that. But it's the main video aspect that drove me into it, because growing up, we all had YouTubers and we all liked listening to them. We liked to look at what they did, and, we have an idea that, all right, they record, they have a setup, they have a structure. And
I would say real quick, you don't also realize just like how the production aspect goes into it.
Yes.
And it's kind of draws your attention. It really is interesting.
Yes, no, it's like the little fine points and details really that kind of caught me into it, and I thought that would be just a great set of skills to have, because at the same time, when we were in that class, we also got to work on films. I actually made a short film at the time called The White Room.
That was a fun film.
Yeah.
Really fun film.
Yeah, not the best work. It was my first time just putting a movie together, but to have that opportunity to sit down, write a script, I made my mistakes when doing it, and I learned from them. At the time, I beat myself up over the head, and I didn't want to fix it or do anything, but hopefully one of these days I want to see if I can go back and fix the project, probably redo the script, but still have that main point. But either way, I fell in love with audio, and another aspect is music. I am deep into music, and if you want to do music and other things, you're going to need to learn how to work audio programs. You're going to need to learn how to get time signatures correct, how to make sure that your voice and your instrument line up. One's not larger than the other. But it was a mixture of all of that put together, and just the general excitement of being young and jumping into new waters like that. And I looked at it with open eyes and with an opportunistic way.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about your childhood, maybe growing up, going through middle school?
Okay, so yes, basically growing up, like I said, I was just into music and I was always into like YouTube and all that. And it was really hard to find out what exactly I wanted to do because at the time I put a lot of strain and stress on myself because I'm like, look, I'm going to an academy and all that. So I thought I had to do really good. I had to go above and beyond.
And me and Andrew went to the same middle school in this academy that he's talking about, right? You're talking about the middle school?
Yes.
It kind of taught a grade, ahead. And so that does kind of put a lot of stress.
Yeah, it was definitely stressful. I did learn a lot at the time, but it's weird because when you're young, you don't really see the bigger picture of things. You don't realize that tomorrow's another day and that there's always hope. Like, I was really struggling at the time with just getting through it, but at the same time, at that school, I can't remember what the class was called. Oh, yes, it was called Tech Lab. So,
oh yeah, Tech Lab. I love Tech Lab.
Yeah, Tech Lab is one thing that also got us a little bit into more computerized things. Like we worked on little mini engineering projects. We learned how to do Flight Simulator as well.
I was going to bring up Flight Simulator. Flight Simulator is absolutely amazing.
It's funny because it's in real-time accuracy, and I remember one of our end-of-the-year project was to actually fly a plane from one destination to the other, and it's all in real time. So from where we are, we decided to fly into Chicago and O'Hare, and learning about that, I kind of learned how a plane worked, and I also learned that if I were to actually fly, I wouldn't do good because I missed half of the runway, went off the runway, went through the highway that's right next to it, and I landed in the back of somebody's topiary garden.
I always thought it would be interesting to be like a plane pilot because then you get to like go fly around like everywhere, like coast to coast. And I think that would be really interesting, but unfortunately that is also like a long time away from your family, like in between flights and trips and all that.
Yes, but the other aspect of it is because I actually talked to like a couple of flight attendants and all that. But so even though you get to go to these places, sometimes you land there at like maybe 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. Sometimes you're really tired. You go to your designated hotel, and your hotel rooms, most of the time, it's just like, oh, you don't even get a good view. You just have a view of the roof that's like right outside. And it can definitely be fun, especially if you have like a layover and you get to spend like a couple of hours. But either way, all I know is that it's a lot of exhausting work and it's time away from it. Because at one point, I was thinking about becoming a pilot. I thought that was pretty cool until realized a lot of the strain and stress that comes with it.
Yeah, well, we also have a friend that was in, because they had a, what would you call it? Like a pilot CTE, like a
aviation
CTE. Thank you. We had a friend go through that, and I think he worked at the airport for a while. I'm not sure. I haven't kept in touch with that friend, but I'm not sure if he still does.
Right, exactly. But either way, we got from the main point. Again, this is where this whole rambling thing is going on. But to bring it back to the main point, I had introductions into technology that opened my eyes, and I saw, look, there's way more to this. This stuff is pretty cool, and I'm hoping that one day I can get more into it. Then that's when graduated, and then we get to high school. CTE, I met Mason, and then everything kind of played out from there to where we are now.
High school was all right.
High school was, I would say at least it was, pretty good because I met, even though we went to the same middle school, I didn't really talk to you that much, and it wasn't until we went to high school and all that.
Yeah, it was about freshman year when I would say that we actually started hanging out. Like, I knew who you were in middle school, but I never really, like, talked to you or anything. Obviously, I would see you in the hallways. If you know Andrew, he's a fucking giant in real life.
You were no walk in the park either. I could see you past everyone's head.
Well,
you're just an inch shorter than me.
Yeah, but anyway.
That inch matters.
I guess growing up was also normal. Well, I don't guess. I know it was normal. It was a pretty good childhood.
I spent some summers in Colombia. That
Go ahead and tell us about that.
Oh shit. So basically there was a couple of times that so I am half Colombian pretty much. My father born and raised here in Indiana pretty much, but he grew up in Rochester, small town. And he met my mother. My mother is from the city of Cali, Colombia, and she was raised there. She met my father, and then she decided to move up here to the U.S. when I'd say in the early 2000s. And basically, growing up, I was connected through that culture. I didn't learn Spanish until I was in middle school because it just didn't connect with me, and I got tired of being the only gringo that didn't know how to speak anything. But because of that, I would also get sent down to Colombia every summer. I almost died a couple times. Altitude sickness, some other kind of illness. I almost got hit by a car a couple of times. You know, fun stuff. We'll stretch it out.
I mean, I'm sure we could figure something out to put
Just
on
like
over.
a man, just like any man, you make it fit.
Well, anyway, now that we're back to recording, and Andrew probably didn't know
What?
that. Yes.
Oh, fuck. You gotta tell me these things. You know I could say anything bad.
Well, that was the whole point.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so
If I say anything on the verge of ethical racism,
I mean, if anybody's getting us canceled, it's Andrew.
bro, I said one thing about the French, okay?
Andrew got us canceled before we even started.
That was back in college. We'll talk about that later. I got kicked out of college pretty much for bad grades because I didn't focus on school. I focused on partying, became best friends with a cop, got out of trouble with that, joined a band, became the bass player, kind of made a little bit of an album. I had my experiences, but if I go back to college, I actually want to study, get a degree, and do all that. I'm done with having all that fun. Even though I'm 21 years old now, I'm done. I just want to get my life on track now.
Yeah, I stopped going to college, but I would like to go back. It just seems, not gonna lie, like a lot of work.
It's stressful as shit, dude. Like, everyone tells you, yay, college is hard. They're not fucking joking. It is hard as fuck. Like, even like, bro, they give you like only 2 days to do things. And we're busy with other shit outside of our life. Like, I still work a full-time job. You do too.
Yeah, and I was majoring in journalism at the time. Did you have a major yet, Andrew, while you were in?
Yes. I was, I believe I was majoring in just communications, where I was focusing in journalism, and then I think I had a sub of something else. I couldn't remember what it was. But I do know that if I go back, I'm going to be switching from audio and all that, because as much as I love doing this, I couldn't do it as a career because it would just crumble me. So I want to do something where I can make a little more money, like business administration,
Right,
and all that. It just seems fun to me, like business, how to run a business, money, because I can be a definite hard ass if I want to. So I really want to crack the corporate whip and make people work.
Andrew wants to be at the top.
Pretty much, man. I want to get a suit, and I want to just look down at all my pretties, make sure that everything's selling, slide tackle someone that's stealing something.
Andrew just calls all of his workers peasants all the time.
Oh, yes, and then I pet them if they're good. But,
okay.
continuing.
Anyway, I don't even know what we were talking about.
We were talking about where we were and how exactly we got here, which is why we talked about college. We were both in college for a bit.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of a...
I was only there for not even a whole year. I was there for 2 semesters. How long were you there for?
about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. Nope.
It's my second semester. I got put on academic probation.
Yeah, I was put on academic probation, and then I was done.
Yeah, but if I want to go back to that college, they said that I have to go to a different one for at least a semester and get a 3.0 GPA or higher. Any lower, and they won't let me back in.
I don't know. I struggle with trying to motivate myself to go because I know that nobody is making me go.
Exactly, and that is the key. It is self-motivation. That's one thing that I was able to learn about college and how to get through just this thing growing, because we're in our 20s, man. 2 years ago, I was a teenage dirtbag, and I'm still trying to figure out how this whole life thing works.
it is a little bit weird.
Yeah, nobody
Being
told
older.
me. Yeah, nobody told me how to grow up. The shit just happens, and then I'm trying.
Although I think I am reining it in, and it is not bad. I mean, it's not bad once you get used to it. But I think at first it was a little bit hectic.
I can see why they invented alcohol.
Okay, all right. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for today. So, I guess I don't know how to do an outro yet, but if you liked it, I guess you could subscribe, wherever you're listening, whatever you're doing right now. Stop. Just give us some support. Andrew?
I almost ripped my Southern Necessities. Like, holy hell, I really need to shit right now. I love you guys out there that are taking the time to listen. And please tune back in for some more, because we got some more great stories, a little bit of life lessons going on. And again, subscribe, and stay tuned. We're going to try and do our best to keep these at least a little bit consistent, maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. We're still trying this out, seeing how we're going to do.